Congratulations on the purchase of your beautiful new SV all-wheel drive Rogue. We're going to go over the features on this vehicle. I know we covered a lot when we went over it during the delivery. I want to make sure that if you missed anything or forgot anything, that this is a bit of a refresher for you. This is a fantastic vehicle, #1 selling in its category and a 5-star safety rated vehicle. So let's have a look at the features on this, and at the end, if you still have any questions or you want to talk about anything with your vehicle, feel free to contact me. My contact info will follow. Let's check out the features on this magnificent vehicle. So we're going to start here at the steering wheel. Right away we see we've got our cruise control. So to turn this on and off, I'm going to hit this button. As I look up at the dial here, if I push the button, I see I get an indicator show up top here. That indicator, when you set your speed, is going to show you the exact speed that you have up top there. It'll highlight in green to show you that it's engaged. You can cancel to knock it off, or you can tap the brake or turn it back off. If you do cancel or tap the brake, you can resume simply by hitting the resume button. We've also got buttons here to increase the speed or reduce the speed while on cruise control. Beside that, we've got our Bluetooth hands-free and voice recognition buttons. So this button here will allow you to answer calls or to hang up a call. You can make a call using the voice recognition just by telling it where to call. You can also set everything up on your phone or access your phone through that, and you can go ahead and set the audio for that. On the left side of our steering wheel here, we've got our volume for the radio. Nice and easy, up and down. We've got 2 buttons here, looks like fast forward and rewind buttons. These will actually skip presets on your radio. The driver assist display here shows I'm on preset 5. So if I hit the button, I see I go over to 6, or I can go back and I can go through the different presets using these buttons here. This right here is for our driver assist display. That's what this screen is here. So I'm going to set this back at the main screen so we can start out fresh. On this screen here, I see that we've got our average speed, and there's a #1 beside that. If I hit either up or down, I go to #2. The next screen over to the right is a trip odometer, and again there's a 1 and a 2, and then we've got fuel economy 1 or 2. So for all of those, if I press the OK button, it gives me the option to reset either my average speed or all. And when I say all, it tells me it's going to reset the trip, the average speed, and the fuel economy. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. That does that for the #1s. However, if I switch over to #2, they're still all the same. So it only does it for one of the 2, and whenever I switch it from 1 to 2, it corresponds on all 3 screens. Next screen over shows what's going on with our radio. So while I'm on this screen, the OK button here will change the source of the music from FM to satellite radio, which you get free for the first 3 months, over to Bluetooth audio. For any Bluetooth device that's connected, you can stream from there. Auxiliary, so there is an auxiliary port down below there as well as a USB port, and then it goes back to AM and then FM. If you have a CD in, or you've got anything plugged into the USB port, those become options that you can stream from as well. Safety shield is related to the automatic emergency braking in the front and your blind spot detection on the sides. For the automatic emergency braking, the way that works is if you close the gap between you and the vehicle in front of you too quickly, whether they hit the brakes or it's a parked vehicle, it's going to beep at you inside the vehicle, and the gas pedal is going to push back against your foot. At that point, you have a couple seconds to react depending on how close you are, and if you don't react yourself, the vehicle is going to react by applying the brakes for you to avoid an oncoming collision. That's the automatic emergency braking. For your blind spot detection, which works with these little indicators on the pillars, what's going to happen there is when a vehicle is in your blind spot, whether you're passing it or it's passing you, that indicator is going to light up a dull orange. From there, when that indicator is lit up, so let's say for example the driver's side indicator is lit and I signal to go left, that indicator is going to start flashing and it's going to beep at me inside the vehicle to let me know that there is a vehicle in my blind spot. This screen gives you a visual as to what's going on as well. This screen shows the tire pressure for all 4 tires individually. So as we see here, it's not going to show me anything while I'm sitting still. Once I start driving, it will populate all 4 tires for pressure. If you do have a low tire, it's going to pop up with a warning and say low tire. You're also going to get an indicator over on the screen over here that's going to show a picture of a tire and ridges on the bottom of it. It shows up right about here. That tells you that you have a low tire. This screen will show you exactly which tire is low and what the pressure is. But the beauty of it is, when you go to the garage to put some air in the tire, simply start putting air in the tire. When it hits the right pressure, the horn beeps to tell you to stop. There is a low limit and a high limit to it. The low limit is 1 beep on the horn. If you continue to put air, it's going to hit a high limit, which is 3 beeps, and you need to stop at that point. You risk ruining your tire if you go beyond that. This screen here shows the intuitive all-wheel drive. So you're going to drive in front-wheel drive about 95% of the time. This screen shows you when you're in front-wheel versus all-wheel. As you pull away, you're going to be in all-wheel drive, and that top bar is going to drop down to 50%, and the bottom bar there is going to fill up to about 50%. Once you get going, that bottom bar drops off and the top bar fills up again, and you're in front-wheel drive. Any large hills or anything that requires extra power will automatically engage the all-wheel drive. The same for any traction conditions. So whether it's hydroplaning, slippery roads, loose gravel, anything that would cause your front wheels to slip, the all-wheel drive automatically kicks in, and it will do so up to 145 kilometers per hour. Any warnings will show up on the screen. So a warning is usually followed with a yellow exclamation mark that'll show up there. It's a yellow triangle with an exclamation mark. On the screen, it will pop up and tell you what your warning is. You can simply hit the back button or the OK button to make that go away, but then you can come to this screen to come back and see what it was. So if you've got multiple warnings, for example, a door that's not fully shut, low wiper fluid, if you want to come back here, you can scroll through and see what they are. And to get rid of the warnings, simply correct the issue. So if it's a low wiper fluid, adding in some wiper fluid will automatically make the warning go away. The final screen here is our settings screen. There is a lot of different settings in here. I highly recommend that you go through and check what each one is. The only one I typically change is on the vehicle settings. I'll go in and down to locking, and then auto door unlock. By default, Nissan vehicles will automatically unlock the door when you turn the ignition off. So what I'm going to do here, which is what most people prefer, is set it so that the moment I shift into park, the doors will automatically unlock. Then I can hit the back button here a couple times to get me back out, and I'm back to my settings screen. Next up, we're going to have a look down at the buttons on the left side of the driver's side of the dash. So down below here we've got a couple buttons. The first one up is our traction control. I highly recommend just leaving this alone. Engaging that button is going to turn my traction control off, which, as I see up here, shows me my traction control is off. Most people will tend to do this in the winter if they're trying to get up a hill and they want that boost in power. The problem there is that the vehicle, aside from the wheels spinning faster, tends to slide from left to right or vice versa. So I just recommend leaving this alone. You are in an all-wheel drive vehicle, so you shouldn't have any issues. We've got our fuel tank release, which is on the passenger side of the vehicle. This button down here is the all-wheel drive lock. So you can lock in your all-wheel drive and it will stay locked in up to 40 kilometers per hour. Once you get above 40 kilometers per hour, that all-wheel drive lock is going to go off. However, as I mentioned earlier, the all-wheel drive is automatically going to kick in as needed all the way up to 145 kilometers an hour. So any conditions that you can legally drive in Canada, you have all-wheel drive available. Sport mode is our next button here. So this is going to change how our motor reacts. Your RPMs are going to jump up a little bit, but the motor is going to be a little more responsive. It's like adding more torque to it. If you need to get out and around somebody in a hurry on the highway because you're losing your passing lane, simply hit the sport button. As I mentioned, you'll see your RPMs jump up, but the motor is more responsive and you can get out and around them in a hurry. I highly recommend not driving in a regularly in sport mode. It is harder on your gas. Now with that said, we do have an eco mode button down here, which is going to help you get better fuel economy. I highly recommend it on the highway. You can drive with this on all the time, and you'll have no issues at all. The only thing that I will caution you is pulling away from a dead stop is going to feel sluggish compared to normal mode, and trying to get out and around somebody in a hurry on the highway is also going to feel a little bit sluggish. So we're going to come up to the dash here, and below our park indicator down here, I'm going to show you we're in regular mode right now. If I hit sport mode, it shows up in brown, and if I hit eco, it shows up in green, and I can turn it back off there. Next up, we're going to have a look at our center console and the features that we have there. So as we move over to our center console, we see a beautiful 7-inch touchscreen display here. Now we've got a few options on here. We've got phone, which we have on the steering wheel. We've got audio, which we have a button for here. Our connections are right here, info and settings. So we're going to start from the top here. This screen here is our home screen. And I get there just by hitting the menu button. And then you can customize what shows up on this screen simply by going into the settings and then customizing home menu. Gives you lots of options in here. You can pick and choose how you want it to display. Once you're done, you can either hit the back button up here, or physical back button here will take us back. There is another phone button up here. So this is our display for brightness. So we see right there it goes into night. I'm going to leave it on auto so that it will automatically adjust as needed. Down below we've got audio. So this gives me a full-blown screen of what's going on with my radio. As I see down here, I've got a bunch of presets already here. On FM, you've got 12 presets. When I switch over to satellite, I've got 18 presets that I can use on satellite. So lots of options there. Or if I hit the source button up here, I see I've got options for AM, FM, satellite, CD, USB, Bluetooth audio, and auxiliary. I get all kinds of options as to what I want to do for music. Makes it really nice and easy and gives me a variety. So I'm going to come back to the main menu from there. Over on the side here, these two buttons will actually seek out the next radio station that's available. Our camera button takes us into the settings for the camera, where you can turn on the predictive course lines, and then we've got our display settings here as well. And as I mentioned, we've got our back button. This is to tune or scroll, so you can manually change your radio station here. Now, to set up a Bluetooth device, or a phone in particular, I can either go into the settings or I can use the voice recognition here on the steering wheel and follow the voice prompts. I'm going to go in through the settings here, and I'm going to say connections. And then from there, I can add a new device right here. Really nice and simple. So we're going to come back into here. We're going to have a look at our climate controls. So fairly simple climate controls here. I've got access to my fan here, which we hear will go up quite a bit. I've got the source of my air here. So right now it's set for the floor and windshield. I can change that for the floor and vents, the floor. I can have it all up on the windshield. I can go from fresh air to recycled air. And then I've got my rear defrost. Now my rear defrost also activates the heated side mirrors. Over on this side for the dial, I've got my temperature. So right now I've got a little bit on cool, not a whole lot. And I can go all the way over to heat or all the way to cold. Air conditioning by pressing this button. Max air by pressing this button. So we'll turn that back. Down below here we've got USB and auxiliary ports down here. So this USB port, how this works is that will allow you to engage Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which come on this vehicle. If you have an Apple phone, simply plug the cord into the USB port and into your phone. It's automatically going to engage Apple CarPlay. For Android Auto, you need to download the app from the Google Play Store on any Android phone that this will work with. From there, simply connect to the cord in the USB port and then to your phone, and it will automatically bring up Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Next up, I'll show you how to work those. Alright, so we're going to have a look at the Android Auto here. To work the Android Auto, you need to connect via a USB cord down below here, right to your phone. You need to have the Android Auto app installed, which you can get from the Google Play Store. It is a free device, a free app. From here, once that we're connected, we can hit the button down here for directions. It launches Google Maps. Makes your car pretty much act like a navigation system at that point. Just be aware it is going to use a little bit of your data, but not much. To get back out of here, we can simply hit this button here. We can access our phone right from here, as it does disconnect your Bluetooth hands-free. And then over here we've got music. Give us a full list of any music that we want to listen to. Or we can head back out of the app right by this button here. So when I hit this and then press our button, it takes us back out of Android Auto. And that's as simple as Android Auto is. Alright, we're going to have a look at Apple CarPlay now. This is a little bit different than Android Auto. You don't need an app on your phone to work this. Once you connect your iPhone to the system, again using the cord to do so, this is the screen that pops up. So very much like the Android Auto, the biggest feature here that you're probably going to use is our maps. So with this, it's going to give you the same feel as a navigation system in the vehicle. It does use a little bit of data. It's not bad on your data, but please be aware that it does use that. And again, like the Android Auto, it disables the Bluetooth hands-free. So your phone, you still have the option here and you still answer it right from the steering wheel, but it is all through the cord on your phone for this. You've also got access to your music, any podcasts that you might have on here, audiobooks, messaging, and WhatsApp. And then that gives you a good view of the Apple CarPlay. A couple more options before we finish up inside. We've got our heated seats down here, so I can set this on either high or low, or I can turn it back off. On my wipers up here, I've got my mist wipers by tapping up once. One tap down puts me into intermittent. From there, I can use the dial to set the speed for that. The next tap down is going to put me in low, and then the final one is high. On the end of our dial here, we've got our back windshield, our back wiper. Once over does me intermittent, the second one puts me on regular. To clean my windows, pull towards the steering wheel. We'll spray onto the windshield here to clean them. Pushing towards the dash, we'll spray on the back windows so that you can clean there. Over on our signal adjuster here, we've also got our headlights. So I'm going to go ahead and set this for auto so that the lights will automatically turn on and off as necessary. When my headlights are on and I see the indicator down here, from there I can turn on my fog lights. However, if my headlights are not on, so right now it's too bright, and I turn my fog lights on, they don't come on. The headlights must be on for the fog lights to come on. Next up, we're going to have a look at our key fob and talk about the intelligent key system, and then we go from there. So this is the key fob that comes with your Rogue. As we see here, we've got a few buttons. From the bottom up, we've got our panic button, we've got keyless entry, and then we have a remote start. So to work your remote start, you're going to hit the lock button and then hold this top button for 5 seconds. After that, your vehicle is going to start. That will work from 150 to 200 feet away, depending on your battery. Your remote start is going to allow your vehicle to run for about 10 minutes. After the 10 minutes, if you don't get in and engage it, it will turn off. To engage your vehicle, simply get in, put your foot on the brake, and press the start button there. That will engage your vehicle. If for some reason you're running behind and you need more than 10 minutes, you can extend it by an additional 10 minutes from wherever it's at in the count by hitting the lock button. So if it's been running for 8 minutes and I hit the lock button, it will run to the 18-minute mark. If I change my mind, I can simply hit the top button and that will turn it back off. Now, you can remote start your vehicle twice without engaging it before the remote start won't work. You do need to start it after that to rework the remote start. Or you can remote start it and extend it once, and then you still need to physically start it to be able to use remote start again. Now the other part about the key fob, because it is a key fob, there's no key for the ignition. So over time, usually 2 to 4 years, the battery is going to start to get low in this. Your first indication that your battery is low is you're going to get in, no problem, and then you're going to go to start the vehicle, and right up on your driver assist display, it's going to say incorrect key ID. That's your first indication that the battery's getting low. So a couple things with that. One, if you let it get to the point that the battery dies, you're not stuck. On the back here, there's a little button. If I push the button, I then have access to a key for the driver's side door. Once I get in, I can take this key fob and put the Nissan emblem directly against the button over here and use that to start the vehicle. The vehicle will start at that point. To change your battery, you're going to look at the two little recessed areas here on either side. You can get something in there and give it a little twist. That will pop open your key fob. From there, the battery that's inside is a lithium battery, very similar to that that's in a watch. The number that's on that is the size for the battery. You can go to any local spot that carries them and buy a new battery, and then you're good for a while again. You can also come in the dealership, and our service department would be more than happy to help you with that as well. The other part about the key fob gives you an intelligent key system. So if I look at the vehicle next to us here, on the handle I see a button. That button is on the front door of each side of the vehicle. As long as my key fob is within 3 or 4 feet of the door, I can walk up and I can push that button once to unlock the door that I'm at, whether it's the passenger door or the driver door. If I push it a second time, it unlocks the entire vehicle. Once everybody's out of the vehicle and all the doors are shut, one more push of that button will lock it again. That is your intelligent key system. So we're going to cover one more option here for those of you that have gotten the Moonroof package. This is a feature that is optional. So if you do have the Moonroof package, you have this button right here in the center. This is for the power moonroof. So right now I've got this magnificent moonroof open. I'm going to push forward on this button to close the screen. Now the beauty of this is I can stop this anywhere along the way by hitting that button again, and I can make it go back if I want. So that will fully close over or fully open up all the way back to there. We've got a few options with the front part of this roof as well. If I simply push straight up on the button here, you see it opens up as a vent to allow some of the hot air to escape. Push up on it again to close it off. Now if I push back on this button, my roof retracts in the front part here, right back to there. It drops inside to do so. I can close it by pushing forward, and again, I can stop it anywhere along the way. Now there is 2 clicks to this button, so I'm going to reopen this for a moment. Something to be aware of, and it takes a little bit of getting used to, but it's pretty easy, is if you click on this too far, and we'll see if we can hear it here, there's 2 clicks. So what happens is that's going to close over, and immediately this starts closing over as well. But again, as I mentioned, you can close that at any point. But the same in opening it. If you double click it, it's going to go all the way back, and then that's going to drop down, and that's going to open up as well. Congratulations again on your beautiful Rogue SV all-wheel drive. If you do have the front-wheel drive option on this, it's not going to have the lock for the all-wheel drive, and that screen for the intuitive all-wheel drive won't be there. It's simply going to be front-wheel drive. However, if you have the all-wheel drive, you do have all the features listed there. I hope this helps in going back through everything that we covered during the delivery. As I said, I know it was a lot of information to absorb, and oftentimes something can get missed, so hopefully this will help refresh your memory on it and give you a good idea of what features you have on your vehicle. If you have any additional questions or anything else that you'd like to talk about on this vehicle, feel free to give me a call, text, or email. My contact info is about to follow. I look forward to seeing you back at the dealership when you come in for service. Please pop over and say hello. I'll keep an eye out for you as well, and hopefully we'll hear from you again when it's time for another vehicle.